Right. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for investing your time with us this afternoon to join us at this event that's co-organized by YLab and Zilliqa. My name is Simon, and I'll be your host and moderator for the event today. I'm Innovation Consultant to YLab and Innovation Lab of the National Gallery, Singapore. We serve to bring the art and tech community together to create innovations for the art and culture sector at large. NFT has been the common conversation topic for me over the last few months. Some of you may have lost some sleep in the last few days. I'm not sure if this is because of the pandemic boredom or the allure of get-rich-quick schemes. Regardless, there seems to be no way to hide away from the discussion of NFT. YLab is excited to partner Zilliqa to host this event to mixify blockchain technology and provide a broad overview of NFT and explore if NFT is really a viable way for the art and culture sector to change in the way we produce art and uplift our livelihood through a new medium to reach new audience and the new revenue models. Today, we have the privilege of a panel of experts and fellow artists who have been there, done that to share with us the trends, opportunities, and challenges while working with NFTs. Without further ado, please welcome Kevin Lim, Deputy Director of Collab X and Y-Lab, National Gallery, Singapore, to help us kick off this event. Over to you, Kevin. Kevin, you're muted.
Thank you, Simon. Welcome, everyone. We certainly live in exciting times. Simon and I are from YLab, which is part of National Gallery Singapore, a leading visual arts institution which oversees the world's largest public collection of Singapore and Southeast Asian modern art. Harmonizing with the gallery, YLab operates as an art and technology, otherwise short form art tech, hub for startups, developers, visitors, and staff to co-create in the future of cultural production and consumption for Singapore, the Southeast Asian region, and beyond. We do this by offering two art tech perspectives. For startups, we have a YLab Accelerator program, which is ongoing, and we just accepted our first cohort. We will also have a humble physical workspace by the end of the year, pending the pandemic situation. As for visitors, we want to co-create with them as well, where we offer semi-regular art tech programs where we talk about emerging technologies that may relate to the art domain. And we complement that with our art tech showroom, which will be opening very soon at the gallery, very likely by next month or so. This will feature various kinds of cultural innovations which will demonstrate and manifest the kind of innovative ideas that have come across through the art and culture domain. Now, YLab achieves all this with the help of a growing ecosystem of artists and technologists, entrepreneurs and investors keen on the art tech space. Together with them, we look at three types of experiences that we want to create. There's the art experience, whereby we look at new ways of promoting art appreciation through emerging technology, such as mixed reality and NFTs. We also look at the museum experience, how we could offer more to our visitors online and on-site. Aside from our excellent docent tours, we also offer shorter tours offered by our robotic guide, Tammy, for instance. And lastly, work experience, how we can reimagine the operation of an art institution, such as through data crowdsourcing, artificial intelligence, and robotics process automation. So these are the three kinds of experiences that we kind of generate with the innovations that we look at. And if keen, do join us at ylab.sg, or continue the conversations with us on Discord, which will come on screen anytime soon, to stay in touch. Now today, Zilliqa and Y-Lab is proud to bring together very exciting talents from all over the world to take you on this pioneering journey to understand the possibilities of art and non-fungible tokens, aka NFTs, particularly to make sense of what it means for our art and culture industry. We hope for you to walk away with key highlights about NFT, understand some of the business prospects that NFTs present, as well as the challenges of authenticity, a very real issue that hits close to home for collectors and artists alike, as well as glean real-world NFT-related experiences from artists and technologists we've assembled in the panel today. So we hope you enjoyed this bootcamp on NFTs, and we'd love for your questions and feedback by the end. Over to you, Simon.
Thank you, Kevin. Next up, we will have Colin Miles, Chief of Commercial Officer, Zilliqa, to take us on the journey into the world of NFT. Over to you, Colin.
Thank you very much. Just going to share my screen. We'd love to welcome everyone to this NFT workshop. It's probably the most exciting thing that has happened in the industry for many years, and it's provided a gateway to everyone who is thinking about blockchain, thinking about cryptocurrency, thinking about the exciting new world that the blockchain has unleashed. They can find a way in through NFTs, non-fungible tokens. Effectively, these are records on the blockchain which are immutable and can prove ownership and authenticity forever. Non-fungible tokens are different from cryptocurrency in as much as they're not traded like for like, but they do have specific value and can be traded. So it's a kind of exciting new way to attach authenticity to even physical artworks and trade them. I'm Colin Miles. I'm the CEO of Zilliqa, and we are Singapore blockchain, and we're globally renowned for our highly secure and high-speed transactional blockchain. What we're going to talk about today a little bit is some of the hype and excitement around NFTs. Record-breaking NFT numbers have been hit on a regular basis, causing all of this excitement and all of this interest. We'll touch a little bit on the celebrities and the ordinary folk in this space, and then just go through a few of the artists, today's artists working in the NFT space. So the big numbers for Q1 this year, roughly $2 billion have been registered in terms of NFT sales. That's by nonfungible.com, analyzing the market and keeping close tabs on the growth, which has been something like 13,000% just in this last quarter alone. It's an incredible moment in the industry to see this sheer huge scale of adoption. Why so? Well, obviously, the event that started almost everything was this $69 million fee, which was paid for Mike Winkelmann or Beeple's 5,000 days piece of art. Obviously, a collector in Singapore, the famous Metakovan, put up the money for this digital art, making Beeple the third richest living artist just based on that one sale alone. He's a very successful artist, but this one put him way into the top 3 category of digital artists and living artists we currently have. Incredible numbers for Beeple and his artwork. This, of course, attracts a lot of people to the space, a lot of artists thinking, how can I get into this NFT field? Other well-known artists like Trevor Jones actually worked Bitcoin into his artwork, and this caused a bit of a stir when he first issued his collection, and it sold out rapidly. Even though the price ranged from $200 to up to $55,000, and that of course changes with the price of Bitcoin, but it was an incredible event actually merging blockchain technology and artwork together. One of the other things in the space, of course, what we call nerds and digital artists created a CryptoPunks series, originally given away for free, but now some of the most highly valued NFTs in the world. 24 by 24 pixel pieces of art that can actually attract fees up to $7 million for one unique rare piece. I'd also like to talk about some of the excitement in the NFT virtual museum space. So this is an interesting clip.
So now, if we look, we're starting to get closer to the Defiant headquarters. And the whole kind of concept with this was we wanted to build a sleek, modern glass and concrete kind of structure with a massive satellite dish on top. And now it's starting to redraw it to get a bit more of a high-res image, and here we are. And the fun thing about Summon is you can build all sorts of different levels, and I always find it funny that we have like a kind of meeting area here with a web browser, and there are chairs. You can actually sit down in a chair. It's the funniest thing, like in VR, you don't really need to sit down.
That's the first part. I want to play you the second part.
So now, if we look, we're starting to...
This part.
Is to actually display this token in this way. So that becomes a portal. And what happens is when you enter it, so you can enter slowly, and I'll show it on the camera to people. So just go slowly into this orb and I'll follow you. Look, he's entering it and he disappeared. And what happens, and I'm also entering, you see I'm placing my hand inside and I'm entering it, and then we are inside this incredible art. And again, it's almost impossible to describe it to people. By the way, this is just a still image, but people can display videos with the sound as well. So this whole thing could be moving. And another thing which will go live is an economy in terms of frictionless economy in trading inside. So you have this really frictionless transactions like wearables. I can just take I'll be able to take my hat, for example, and give you the hat like this with my hand, and you will take this hat from me, from my hand, and I'll just, I'll have a small pop-up saying, do you want to transfer the NFT to that person? And I'll just click yes, and it's yours, right? So that is the future. So not transacting only via, like MetaMask and stuff, but you'll be able to do it like this in world, like we used in real life.
So now, if we look,
So the future is quite interesting. NFTs, you could actually walk into virtual worlds. You can actually walk into and trade different pieces of artwork. Very exciting spaces like Somnium Space and Decentraland, really pushing the envelope in terms of virtual museums. So who's creating NFTs now? Well, actually everyone is welcome. Whether you're a traditional artist working with physical art pieces, whether you're a digital tech innovator, content creators and innovators are thinking about how to use NFTs, celebrities certainly using NFTs as a medium, gamers thinking about how to add the value of NFTs to the gaming ecosystems and metaverses, corporates thinking how to use NFTs and how to register value on the blockchain themselves with NFTs, and even the event industry obviously thinking about issuing rewards and NFTs to those who attend events and seminars. To a degree, NFTs are helping commoditize celebrity as well. Obviously, Paris Hilton did some art and got a reasonable amount of money for her NFT. Elon Musk created a very entertaining, thematic, satirical NFT, which he sold for over $1 million. Mark Cuban, who worked with us on the Mintable platform that Zach's going to talk about, he actually also had his own basketball NFTs, which he created and launched on that platform, and then eventually went on to create a new Shark Tank version for NFTs specifically. So the impact of NFTs is quite dramatic on celebrities. Ultimately, though, the blockchain can help artists profit more from their creative works. They have inbuilt protection, and more than that, the opportunity to have royalties programmed in to any works of art that are recognized on the blockchain and then resold or traded from one owner or buyer to another. Then royalties can be built into a smart contract, which constantly gives a stream of revenue to the artist. It's a very important change in how IP is protected. But it's not just big celebrities like Paris Hilton and Mark Cuban. We think that artists around the world, and certainly in Singapore, are going to benefit from the NFTs and what they can do in terms of protecting IP rights and supporting digital creativity. Today we have a range of guests, including Sally Sanija, who's going to be on the panel later, Fabian Rashid, who's also a great artist in terms of his augmented reality work. Shengen Lim's going to be on the panel too, so you'll see more from him later. Hafiz Karim as well, also joining this event. Zilliqa itself is fully committed to NFTs. We've orientated the company quite heavily around this line of business, and we have partners issuing some very interesting NFT art and projects, one of which is called Demons. This will be a series of 666 rare NFTs with the similar art there, which you can see on the screen, designed by some of our in-house artists and created as a way to actually use tokenomics, use the blockchain to constantly develop revenue sources from those NFTs. So actually earning almost like interest on those who hold and stake the artworks. Finally, we're very excited to announce that Zilliqa is going to launch a creators fund, effectively creating a fund to help both physical and digital artists, emerging artists, make a beeline for the NFT marketplace and find ways to monetize their works in a fractionalized manner with a fund which is chosen and curated by experts and which will issue a token which people can purchase and support the artist fund, and obviously also vote on different pieces of art that will be in that fund and also be sold from that fund. So Creators Fund is a very exciting way for people to crowdsource support for local artists and for Zilliqa to support artists as they create a new world in NFTs. More details will come next month. Thank you very much. So let's hear from our other speakers.
Thank you, Colin. Thank you for giving us a sneak peek of the works of Shelley and Shengen as well. We'll get a chance to hear from them later on as we move on to the panel session. Right. Next up, we have Belinda Ang and Joyce To. Both are co-founders of ARTO, a social art discovery app driven by the community. And they will share with us the role of technology plays in the new frontiers of contemporary art. Over to you, Belinda and Joyce.
Yeah.
Let me go first. Hello, everyone. My name is Joyce. I will be presenting first, and then my co-founder and the CEO of ARTO is going to come on next, and that's Belinda. So a little bit about ARTO. ARTO is a social discovery app that allows individuals to discover and support art in the way that they want. So before I begin our quick presentation, I just wanted to say a little bit about where we are coming from as well. I've been a curator in contemporary art for over 10 years now, and really in the art and culture sector for, like 2 decades or so. So I've been working a lot with contemporary artists, and I guess I'll just say and talk a little bit about the elephant in the room, which is when I speak to a lot of artists now, there's a lot of curiosity around NFTs, but also I would say some degree of skepticism. So today's workshop, I think, is very much geared towards artists, and we have a lot of artists in the room. So I wanted to just take a little bit of time to, I guess, set the context and the landscape for where I see NFTs are. In the terms of contemporary art, regardless of whether or not you as an artist may be a digital artist or not a digital artist, just so that we can consider the ways that NFTs can be, I would say, helpful or beneficial for creative practice and development, and then later on, then how you might be able to engage with audiences or new collectors, consumers, patrons, and that's really where we come in. So I'm going to just start sharing my screen now. Okay, here we go. Okay, so art audiences and communities, new frontiers, and what can new tech offer all contemporary artists? So I guess being a curator, I just thought I'd start with a little bit with art history, actually. And this image might actually be quite familiar to a number of people. This is actually the very famous suite of photographs that was captured by Edward Muybridge, in the 19th century. And you see that the process is actually a kind of stop motion. I will actually come back to a little bit later on. So Edward Muybridge was not the inventor of photography, but he was able to use it in a way that opened up the development of photography in many ways that I think are still very present with us. Also, very importantly, by way of the possibilities of this, was that this helped answer a question that was very present at that time, which was, how does a horse run? So he was helping actually a railroad tycoon, Leland Stanford, answer a question because they were all horse racers and they wanted to really understand how horses run because there was a very big bet that was going on at that time. So I guess art, speculation, money, creative possibilities, all very much alive and well, even more than 150 years ago. Okay, I also wanted to just scan on the contemporary art landscape by way of the range of art forms and media. So I think for, again, any contemporary artists who are here in the audience, you'll see that many of these art media are actually quite familiar to you. Of course, the more traditional ones might be painting, sculpture, drawing, installation, but also very much we have photography, performance art, video, relational aesthetics, land art, print. And then on the right side, we'll see that we also have digital art. Okay, I will also say that this slide, or the way I presented this, is not entirely accurate because you see that I've located NFTs under digital art. But actually, when we come to understand it, we'll see that actually NFTs are something that will be applicable to all forms of art media. So you can be working in painting as an artist and you'll be able to create an NFT from that. You could be a sculptor and you can create an NFT from art. Certainly performance art, installation, print, all of these, you can actually use blockchain and NFT. So it's almost a way that you can regard NFT as a new material or medium in your art practice. And then for me as a curator, it's really the very exciting possibilities because you don't have to be a digital artist, but I think it's worthwhile to regard NFTs as a new material that you can become familiar with and then begin to see how can you actually use this to further your own art practice and to begin to actually play with it. Okay, so also as we know with the pandemic and COVID, many artists have been turning towards the digital realm. And we've heard a lot of news about that. I would say prior to the big event of the Beeple sale, a lot of that was maybe in artists going onto social media like Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. It could have been expanded media, expanded websites. But I think not so many artists were again looking at maybe how the digital realm could again be a factor in their creative practice. Okay, poor little Mona Lisa. So here I wanted to again actually just turn a little bit to actually art history, a little bit of a nod here to Walter Benjamin. So artists here will be very familiar with that very famous essay called The Work of Art in the Age of Mechanical Reproduction. Okay, so on the left, we of course see the Mona Lisa as was depicted by Leonardo da Vinci, and then the right, in some ways, a familiar kind of montage of digital images that we would have seen with the more recent Beeple's Tomorrow's work. But actually, this work itself was created several years ago. So it's to say that actually, perhaps the new is not so new. We've actually been seeing some instances of this in our own history of art itself. So contemporary art, artists in the digital world. So again, we've seen that many artists have accelerated their move to going online in 2020. And again, much of this was by social media and perhaps by expanded websites. A lot of attention now on NFTs. And I suppose my question is really, is this a revolution taking place? That is the dust settling, and then what's going to emerge from that? And for me, the really important questions are, how can maybe non-digital or non-crypto contemporary artists engage with the digital realm? And does contemporary art have to be digital or go digital? And I think this is a very pertinent question for a lot of creative practitioners out there. So again, I turn back a little bit to history. And I think the instance of photography here is actually very useful for us when we consider NFTs, because everyone, the tendency is to regard NFTs as this completely new thing. It's kind of a disruptive revolution. But actually, revolutions have their own history as well. So it's in a way, it's how new is the new. And if we consider that photography, which was actually first developed by Louis Daguerre in 1837. And when we regard how common photography is now, and we're looking at digital photography, and we see the image on the right, we see how prevalent and how commonplace photography has become. But certainly when photography arrived on the scene, it was seen as being very disruptive, very new, very exciting kind of brand new technology, but certainly something that was going to be very threatening or perhaps very disruptive for more traditional modes of art making. So over here is actually a very quick scan of some of the, I would say, modern art developments that actually occurred or were catalyzed by the development of photography. We see Claude Monet's Impression Sunrise. We see Pablo Picasso's Les Demoiselles, Jackson Pollock's drip paintings, and then also hyperrealism by the way of Chuck Close, and then photography becoming its own art medium in the works of people by Cindy Sherman, and certainly closer to home with artists like Robert Zhao Renhui. So it's to say that when photography arrived on the scene, it was something that perhaps threatened painting as an art medium. But really what it has done over time is that it's actually catalyzed new ways of art making, and painting certainly did not die. I think in fact, it actually grew and expanded in several ways. And I think again, that is where the potential of what NFTs are today. A lot of still unknown and questions around it, but I think again, it's really the creative potential of what they offer. So actually also to say that digital art doesn't have to stay or it's not with NFTs. I would say actually the most popular single artist destination right now is actually a digital art museum. Okay, so that in a way marries very much the physical and immersive experience that people still crave. That is in the TeamLab Borderless Museum in Tokyo. And so TeamLab very much working with digital art, whether or not they go the way of NFTs, that's something else, but digital art is really a very expensive kind of realm. And I just thought a little bit cheekily to end off then again with Edward Muybridge, which is to say from his series or suite of photographs, he was actually able to create an animation again to show the horse in motion, which kind of in a way became, I would say, the world's very first animated GIF. And Edward Muybridge being very much an entrepreneur, and some have said he was in a way a venture capitalist himself. I dare say that if he was alive today, he would have made an NFT out of this historic work, the horse in motion. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to my co-founder, Belinda Ang, who will then take us through again on how NFTs can help artists engage with new audiences, and as well as collectors and supporters. Belinda?
Yep. So we all know that art is a bridge for conversations between people and issues that really matter to us today. I think that no one would deny that all civilizations, past and present, no human civilizations has ever been able to progress with sanity, without art. Next. So art not only accelerated COVID not only accelerated the application of technology, but COVID also accelerated the need for art in our well-being. So while everyone needs art, not everyone gets to gain access to art. Because there are currently limited avenues for audience support and engagement. If you want to be an art patron today, you need two prerequisites. One, it's money. and the other is space. So while we can walk into an art museum, we can, go online and appreciate art, there are very limited avenues in the traditional art market on how you can support art today. So as an art lover, if you do not have the space in your home, which many of us live in smaller apartments in the cities, and we have limited plain walls that we can put up artworks, we don't have enough external spaces in stores that are at the right temperature to place art. We have very limited avenues to support art. Next. But technology has expanded a lot of these options. And that is one of the biggest reasons why NFT is exciting for us today. So as an artist, let me set you an example. As an artist on ARTO, for example, you can take a photo of your work on your mobile phone, and it can be generated as a high resolution output by our AI technology. So with technology today, it allows any artist to be able to digitize their work in very simple means without expensive, sophisticated equipment, quickly, easily, and then allow them to collaborate with technologies or animators or use apps to extend works into new digital forms. Maybe it could be animation, it could be VR experiences, it could be an AR extension of your art. And whether you decide to leave it as a digital form of your static artwork or in its animated form, with technology and a high resolution output, you are able to actually engage with your audience in more exciting ways than to place it only to collectors' walls. So you can have it on print on demand consumables. You can allow patrons today to do micro investments. You're able to create both original prints and canvases and also NFTs. In a traditional art market, there is a golden ratio of the number of artists to collectors to galleries and dealers, which means that more than 90% of all artists in the world are unable to get into this golden pyramid. But the thing is, our only traditional investable asset form of art, real art? No, that's not true. There is a muse for every piece of art and every artist out there. And what technology has done for us is that while the traditional art markets were structured to service 2% of the world, with the union of art, tech, and new age art lovers who may not necessarily have the habit of walking into an art gallery, but are mobile generation group of new consumers and new art appreciators, art can now be accessible to everyone, whether or not you have the money or space, because there is always a format that will suit your lifestyle. So at ARTO, our mission is to make art emotionally and physically accessible to every individual, regardless if you prefer a physical consumable product, or in the end, you might decide to purchase an NFT. And I think that it is extremely exciting, the opportunities that NFTs will open up to new age art collectors. People who may not have ever thought about buying art and put it on their walls are now buying art because of NFTs. And before today, before our eras today, digital art has always been hard to be quantified in terms of value. Or in the last 20 years, no digital piece of art has been on the top 10 or top 100 in terms of its value on auction houses. But Beeple has changed all that. And I'm excited to see how the rest of the artists will use this opportunity that technology brings to extend their art forms and art practices, and also to open up the opportunities for support from new art consumers. So we are ARTO, and I thank you very much. You can contact me and Joyce at the following addresses. Simon, back to you.
Thank you, Belinda and Joyce. Right. At this point, I'll just like to make a short announcement. I know some of you are already connected with us on Discord. For those who have not, I'd like to invite you to join and interact with us in our Discord channel and be the first 100 to create a wallet to claim a demo NFT compliments of Zilliqa. I believe on the screen, you should be able to see a QR code. We'll leave that on the screen for a while so you guys can access the QR code and join us at Discord. All right. Moving on from creation and curation, we now move over to talk about the front-end marketplace. Right. Next up, we have Zach Burks, CEO of Mintable, a next-gen NFT marketplace, and he will be sharing with us the new concepts of blockchain and NFT. Over to you, Zach.
Hi, everyone. Let me share my screen. My name is Zach Burks. I'm founder of Mintable.app, and we are a NFT marketplace. So once you've made your NFT, whether you're an artist or you're an influencer or whatever you are, you need a place to sell your NFT. And there's a few reasons why you would want to choose a marketplace like Mintable and what it kind of means. But first, before we talk about that, let's dive into what the value really is for an NFT and why you as a creator should be making NFTs for your content. First off, crypto's here to stay. Right. So if you're an artist and you haven't experienced crypto yet, or you're kind of confused on whether or not crypto is like a fad or a bubble, it's here to stay for sure. So it's been around. Bitcoin is definitely paved the way for what the blockchain technology can do, and it's not going to disappear anytime soon. In fact, it would be very hard pressed for it to actually disappear. So it's more inclined to stay than it is to disappear. And with that being said, it means that it's going to be moving into our daily lives more and more. And when we look at NFT technology, what NFTs really can do, we realize that NFTs are very versatile. They can be used for a variety of different things, from artwork, like what we've discussed, all the way over to insurance policies and documents, to music videos and films, to royalty rights, and even investments. You can look at an NFT kind of like a share in a company. So NFTs are very versatile in what they can be used for. And what that means is that there's so many different industries that they touch within daily lives and within our society. By next year, or maybe even by the end of this year, NFT is just going to be another phrase like USB or DVD or ATM. These are just phrases that are a part of our society and things that you'll hear randomly as you walk down the street. And so, NFTs are a very powerful use case, whether it's for monetizing your creation in a new way or engaging your audience in a new way. It's definitely something that you should be looking at because, as a traditional artist, you may, sell prints of your works. But when you sell a print to, say, a collector, let's just say that you're in Singapore and you sell a print to a collector in Europe. Now, if you want to give that collector some kind of reward or benefit or continuous engagement that you want to continue to engage them with, you couldn't do that with a traditional art. You'd have to try to communicate with them and be able to, check what their address is and send them whatever it is. But with NFTs, that they own your NFT, and even if they've sold it, the new person owns it, and you can give that address a, whatever form of engagement that you want to do, whether it's a new piece of work, or maybe it's like an airdrop of some tokens or a reward, or you want to say, hey, you can redeem that NFT for another purpose. These are all things that you can't do with traditional mediums. And so NFTs are very powerful in that sense. In the other sense, the provenance is something that we haven't touched about, but this is a very important aspect. When you make an NFT on the blockchain, you have this ability to say, I have a public proof of record of everything that's happened with this piece of art, from when it was created, the time, who created it, who owns it, what it was, all the way till 10 years down the road of how many hands has it been exchanged across, what are the previous values that it's been exchanged for. You have this public verifiable record that cannot be changed. And that's really important because as you move along your career, I'm sure everyone within, the art society and the part of, one of the issues that you have when you deal with artworks is proving authenticity or proving provenance and maybe a record of any kind of maintenance that's been done on the piece if it's a very old piece. And all of this is a headache. The due diligence process is a very big headache. But with blockchain, it really solves that because you have this public record that anyone can access in the world very quickly, right? There's no subscription fee or model. You don't have to be well connected and have a network of people. Whether you're in California, you're in Singapore, you're in China, we all see the same data and we can all see it very easily. And so that's really powerful for giving you this peace of mind and verifying the authenticity, whether you are trying to sell your work and you can verify it's legit, or for a buyer, they want to be able to know, hey, is this authentic, or is this a fake? And so that's a very powerful aspect to NFTs with art. And the other aspect is that it allows for that continuous engagement, like I talked about. Let me give you an example of not necessarily with art, but with music. With music, if I wanted to release a single and put out maybe 100 copies of my single as an NFT, I can charge, let's just say, like $1,000 for the song. That's insane to think about paying $1,000 for a song that you buy on like iTunes or a song that you hear on Spotify. But when you think about it as an NFT, the benefits that the musician can give with that song are so vast. I can say, if it was mine, I was the musician, I can say that at any point in the next 5 years, this NFT will give you free access to any of my concerts anywhere in the world, right? And so now when you look at that $1,000 price tag, you're like, wait, if I'm a big fan and I normally go to a lot of his concerts, that kind of makes a lot of economic sense. Not only is it collectible, not only is it tradable, so I can get my money back by selling it at a later date, but it comes with these additional benefits. You can do the same thing for art, whether it's membership access, where you can say, hey, if you bought any of my arts, I'm going to give you membership access to my website, or I'm going to let you do this, or I'm going to let you do that. These are all continuous engagements that you can interact with your followers or your supporters or your fans, your collectors, that you just can't really do with the traditional mediums that we have now. The digital scarcity aspect is something that I'm sure everyone's talked about, like with Beeple's 5,000 every days, that is a 1 out of 1. And you can verify with the public record, that proof of provenance that we were talking about, you can verify that it's a 1 out of 1. And that's really important because now you can know at any point the scarcity, where has it been, who's held it, how long have they held it, the pricing for it. And that gives you a very accurate representation of the information so that you can validate or provide a estimation of how much you think it's worth, right? And that's something that is a big pain point with traditional mediums as well, is kind of getting the value of the piece in the accurate kind of realm of where it should be at. One of the other things though is in the traditional art world, when you have a piece that you want to sell, you either, I guess with the internet, there's now the new mechanism where you can sell it directly on your site, but the traditional way is that you get lucky, there's a gallery that loves it, they want to do a show for it, or it's just, in the gallery for sale, and you can get a buyer to discover your work in that manner. With NFTs, we're really empowering the creators. For example, on Mintable, you can go and you have your own store, you have your own profile where it shows all the items you're selling, just like on Etsy or on eBay or on Lazada. You can check out someone's profile and see all the items in their inventory that they're selling. And this is the same for NFTs. And so, just like on other platforms where you can show off your digital work, but you can't necessarily sell it, on Mintable, you can show it off and you can sell it, and you have your own store that you can promote. But furthermore, is you actually have your own smart contract. And this is something that lives on the blockchain, but this is important because this is your own record on the blockchain that you control and only you own. And that's really, really powerful, because now not only are you the only person that can make artwork or any kind of asset as a NFT on this smart contract, but you're the only person that is able to, be able to say, look, not only is this, my own store, but I'm going to never, create another NFT on this store, or I'm only going to make one of this specific NFT, and that's that. And there's no one else that can, come in and do that. So just in the same sense that no one else can, recreate the Mona Lisa, you have that digital control to put that restriction on yourself and on your content, which provides, obviously a higher value. One of the things is royalties. And this is a really hard problem to solve when we talk about traditional artwork. When artworks move hands and transactions take place, there has to be a middleman that has to be able to say, hey, you know, this was the value. We're going to uphold the royalty. We have a contract or an agreement. Let us send you that money. And, you know, you'll get that royalty check in the mail, hopefully, right? But that middleman isn't always there. And sometimes if it's a direct transfer that doesn't go through a middleman, that royalty will never see your pocket. With NFTs, there is an ability to get royalties automatically across any transaction. So if you make an NFT and you set, say, a 10% royalty on it, every time that NFT is sold for life, you know, as long as the internet is around, you're going to get that 10% royalty, which is really powerful because we cut out the middleman. We're giving power to the creator, knowing that they are making a passive revenue stream for life by doing this. So it's just, you know, how it should be, right? You have musicians that make this passive income for life by having their songs on the radio and stuff like this and being played in movies and all sorts of, you know, different ways that it's utilized. But we don't really have that for creators that are making digital art or traditional art. It's very finicky, and there's not a good solution to that. And so with Mintable, you know, we try to provide this solution and build this mechanism out. You know, this is what you'll see when you go to the Zilliqa version of Mintable, which is zilliqa.mintable.app. And the reason that you would want to go to Zilliqa is just because it's very cheap, it's very fast. So for someone who maybe doesn't have, you know, millions of dollars in crypto, you may not feel comfortable having to spend high transaction fees to make an NFT, which unfortunately is the case on other blockchains. But on Zilliqa, it's very fast and it's very cheap, and it's pennies on the dollar to make an NFT, which means that it's affordable for you. So if you want to, you know, maybe you have 25 pieces of art and you want to tokenize them all into NFTs, if you did that on another blockchain like Ethereum, you're looking at hundreds to thousands of dollars to do that. Whereas with Zilliqa, it's much more affordable. It's something that's very reasonable, and you don't have to have this upfront cost in case, like, maybe your artwork doesn't sell, right? Because it's the internet. Just because you put something out there doesn't mean that it's going to immediately sell out, right? Unless you're Beeple, of course. And so there's that upfront cost that you have to pay when you use other blockchains, and some people just can't afford it, especially if they want to do like 25 or 100 pieces of work that they have. So using Zilliqa is a really good option for allowing you to make something, to utilize the blockchain, have the security of the blockchain, have the benefits of the, you know, being an NFT without having that upfront cost. Back into that royalty aspect, when you make something like artwork, it's important. But when you go outside the realm of artwork, because I'm sure there's other types of creators, you know, watching this right now, and NFTs can be applied to almost anything. We've had houses be sold as NFTs on Mintable. We've had films, documentaries, indie films, horror films. We've had ebooks, PDFs, documents, zip files, you name it. You can sell it as an NFT, and there's unique benefits that come with each one of those. And so when you think about royalties for something that is outside of artwork or outside of music, then you really start seeing like these unique mechanisms of monetization and economics that you haven't really been able to explore ever before in the history of like the internet. Because let me put it to you this way. Has there ever been a time in the history of computers and computing and the internet that you have been able to say with verifiable proof that only one person owns this asset, and this asset being a file or, you know, something digital? The answer is no, really you couldn't. But with NFTs you can, and this gives this unique mechanism. And then when you layer royalties on top of that unique mechanism, you get this whole world of possibilities that is essentially a new creative economy for creators out there, and it gives the power to that creator themselves. And so this is really huge, and this is something that, you know, we just haven't seen before. This is an example of like your store page on Mintable, and, you know, of course over time it's going to improve, and there's going to be better designs and, you know, sexier feels to it, but this gets the job done. We've had hundreds of thousands of dollars spent on NFTs on our platform, and it's fairly, you know, young, it's fairly new. Of course NFTs are as well, but you can see that you have the information here you needed. There's something, this contract address, I don't know if you can see my mouse, But this contract address this is the address on the blockchain that you use for verification purposes. And this is very important because this is that record, right? This is your store. It is the contract, and that is its address. Just like you have an address for your house or you have an address for your email, and they're unique. That is that thing. And so, you know, I can look at this art by art style transfer store, and I can look at these different pieces of art, and I can say, you know, maybe I'm going to buy this, or maybe I'm not going to buy this. These are not for sale, of course, but on other ones on your own store page, this would be your works. The other thing is protection in terms of your content, protection in terms of copyright, protection in terms of intellectual property, and protection in terms of your brand. So with the NFT, some people probably don't draw the connection here, but when you tokenize something as an NFT, you have this public record that you can use for life to show proof of intellectual property, where you can say if 5 years down the road, someone is using your work and maybe you're trying to sue them, or you're in a court of law, or the tables have turned and, you know, they're trying to sue you or something like that, you can point back to this item on the blockchain and say, look, we have a public record of me creating this that can never be changed. It's immutable. And that is like a huge benefit that you just really, it's a huge hassle to try to say, if in terms of digital art, that you created something on this certain date, because there's so many different issues with like whether you edited the file or you changed some metadata. And it's hard to, you need forensics experts and stuff like that to verify all this data. But with the blockchain, it simplifies all that. And that's a very, very powerful aspect. And that's an important protection that a lot of creators don't think about. And so, you know, I was having this discussion with this, this university professor in America who deals with music and arts. And one of the things that he brought up that I didn't think about is that as a creator, whether or not you care about NFTs or whether or not you even want to sell your items as NFTs, you should be making NFTs and holding on to them. Like, you don't have to sell them, you don't have to do anything with them, but you should be making them now for every new piece of work. Because if you're the one that controls that asset, you're making a record that basically says, in, you know, to the whole world in the blockchain, that this item was made by me on this date at this time. I own it, and you know, this is the only one. Whether you make 100 of them or you make one of them, you have this asset now that you can just put in a box basically in your garage, which a lot of artists do. They'll make a beautiful painting, they just put it with their other paintings, right? Because they're not in a gallery, or you know, they're not making millions of dollars by selling their artwork, and so they have this inventory of art. You should be doing that with NFTs as well for your creations, because who knows? In 5 years, 10 years down the road, you might be a very big name, and having those assets already tokenized and having a 5-year, 10-year history on them gives them so much authenticity and so much value. You know, the reason that CryptoPunks are going for so much value is because they're one of the very first NFTs. And that's a very important aspect. There's other NFTs that were made after, like Mooncats. And when someone discovered that these Mooncats were even out there, because, you know, a lot of people forgot about it because it never took off, they immediately sold out like 4 years later. And that's a very, very powerful aspect. And so having your artworks already created and already put, I don't know if you heard the lighting in the background, already put on the blockchain, this is something that you should be looking at and exploring to protect your works, but also to kind of ensure that longevity and value down the road, because, you know, NFTs are not going to go anywhere. So they'll be around in 5 years. And if you have something from 5 years ago that you made as an NFT, I'll put it to you this way. If I have an NFT from 2017, it's a very valuable NFT. Whether or not it's a CryptoPunk or something else, it's extremely valuable just because of its age. And that's an important aspect. And that's why you should be making everything as an NFT right now, whether or not you sell it. So that's about that. We have frequently asked questions, but I think that we'll skip that for the sake of time. So yeah, I think what's coming up next though is really exciting. We have, you know, a lot of you are probably going to be aware of who this is, but Singapore actor, you know, Maxi Live, he's created an NFT on Mintable, and it's recently been listed and it's up there and available. And you're going to hear about that NFT from him coming up right now.
Hey, what's up everyone, it's your boy Maxi. So the 2020 pandemic and lockdown has given me a lot of free time. So I decided to use this free time to research about cryptocurrencies. And one of them which got me really interested was Zilliqa. It is because when I took my wife's name and put it backwards, I get Zil. Alright, actually I was just kidding. So it's always a good idea to invest in yourself, and if you are married like me, you can invest in your wife. So back last year, I was shooting a reality TV show based on myself and my wife taking care of my newborn son. In the final episode, Liz gifted me an art jamming session as a token of appreciation. Having not painted in a very long time, I prayed very hard for inspiration, and two things came into my mind: a bluish color theme and an image of a lion. So in hindsight, this vision actually made a lot of sense. The lion represents my Christian faith. And secondly, the lion is a historic symbol of Singapore's status as the Lion City. So it actually represents three national values like excellence, strength and courage. Zilliqa is born in Singapore, and coincidentally, I've also chosen to use Zilliqa's color palette. Today, I am super grateful to have this opportunity to realize my ambition of being the first ever Singaporean personality to mint an NFT. I present to you the Zil Lion, and this will be the first of 3 paintings that I'll be minting with Zilliqa. I am offering a one-of-a-kind digitally rendered NFT and a physical painting of the Zil Lion. Half of the proceeds will go into a charity organization which I will announce post-sale. I am going to make this deal super juicy because I'll be throwing in my personal set of gloves which I used in preparation for my last fight. These pair of gloves have seen a lot of action, and they are also autographed by Muay Thai legend Sean Chai himself. Additionally, you will also be receiving a personally crafted video message from yours truly. Minting the NFT was super easy, and there's a lot of tutorials online to get you started. Simply transfer your Zil from the exchange into your digital wallet, go to Mintable and begin your NFT journey. In conclusion guys, today I'm offering the digital NFT and physical painting of the Zil Lion, my pair of personal boxing gloves and a video message from me. Alright guys, to the moon! And happy shopping!
Well, we have heard all about digital art creation and selling on NFT marketplaces like Mintable. We will now discuss how do we protect these digital assets that we're constantly creating more and more every day. Next up, we have Bill Claxton, Operations Director of NextID, a company that focuses on digital identity. He will share with us on the hot topic of NFT and authenticity, something most artists and collectors are concerned about for this new space. Over to you, Bill.
Good afternoon, everyone. Wow, there's been a great lineup of speakers, and Zach Burks just did a wonderful deep dive. I'm going to share here a presentation with you. I work with a blockchain tech company in Singapore called NextID, and we're in the business of issuing certificates, typically for diplomas or health certificates around COVID. And recently we're introducing a service for certificates of authenticity. And it's that I'm going to talk about today. So as artists, they strive to create a unique style and sign their works with a flourish, yet there have always been these historical disputes. And in the end, the artist is forced to defend themselves about their artwork's authenticity. And this is particularly difficult with digital files because they're everywhere, you know, the ubiquity of digital files. And that's why NFTs are such a breakthrough in terms of rights protection for artists using digital files, is because you can issue something that's one of a kind and thus rare, which represents a set of rights around your original copyrighted artwork. But NFTs themselves point to a file which is sitting somewhere, which may not be the same high resolution file that you have copyrighted as an artist. And furthermore, there's an opportunity for individuals to malevolently get a hold of your art and then create their own NFTs, essentially stealing your identity. And that's what happened to Shepard Fairey, where he complained that a work that was out there on Rarible was actually issued without his permission. So what I've been doing is trying to understand better how the artist is going to step into this new arena and what the problems are that they face. So I've chosen to work with a few selected artists, and I'm just sharing with you a bit of their profile. Meleng is a Singapore artist who started as a painter, and then she's now doing a lot of like Photoshop and Illustrator layering to create digital collages. Tess Felix is a California artist who creates portraits using discarded plastic that's found along the beaches. And of course, this is making some kind of ecological statement, but it's also a very special medium that she's working in. And of course, it's physical. And she's not a technically, competent person to issue NFTs. So the journey was, let's work together. I'll help you create your NFTs and we'll start putting them up and let's see where this takes us. Dieter Hanf, on the other hand, has more experience. He's doing AR like modeling with 3D shapes. And he's created multiple NFTs already on OpenSea. In California, Ken Friedman is a celebrity photographer of rock and roll shows, typically from the 80s. And each one of these is extremely high resolution. So if you were dealing with a website that only allows you to upload 10 meg, then, or if that marketplace limits you to a 10 meg file, what you're putting up on the marketplace is essentially a thumbnail for the high resolution art that you can share as unlockable content. And the unlockable content is very powerful also for artists like Tess to maybe sell the physical work alongside the digital work. So what are we talking about with NFT? It's an intangible form of title, but which underlying asset is actually represented by the NFT? If you look closely at any of these NFTs, you'll see that it's pointing to a single file, which is hosted in some decentralized storage, typically IPFS, Interplanetary File System. Now that file is the one that the artist uploaded when minting the NFT, but it's not necessarily the same file which the artist considers as their one-of-a-kind original, their copyrighted work. And so this is one of the areas where the NFT may represent something a little bit different than what the artist has as the high-resolution final art. Another example might be where there's a movie file and what they've uploaded is just a frame from the movie. And so the solution for this problem is to use certificates of authenticity, which are tied to the copyrighted work, not to the NFT art, although they could be the same. But you issue a certificate of authenticity, which represents an attestation as an artist that this is your copyrighted work. It exists on a particular date of release, and you may or may not make an NFT from this work. So when you do create an NFT, you can represent it. And if you've been to Rarible or OpenSea or any of these other sites, marketplaces, you will see that many artists do already put that they have a certificate of authenticity for their art, and it's part of the unlockable content, or it's a link that you can see before you buy. There's a very well-known company in Southern California called VerisArt, which makes a certificate of authenticity. And the difference between what they're doing and what NextID is doing with its NextCert is that we're using the World Wide Web Consortium verifiable credential, whereas they have a proprietary solution. Their solution uses the Bitcoin blockchain, whereas we're using the Zilliqa blockchain or Ethereum blockchain. And we have smart contract technology. We can put more data in there. And what VerisArt has is really just a record pointer that points to the metadata sitting in their database. In other words, the certificate data is not immutable. It can be changed if it's changed at that central storage location. And of course, they're the only ones who can verify these certs. Whereas with these W3C verifiable credentials, they're completely verifiable openly on multiple sites. So what we're doing is we're applying this technology of verifiable credentials, which is already standardized and being used for diplomas, graduation certificates, health certs, all these like vaccination certs that we hear people talking about to open up travel are based on the same technology. And so they have broad adoption with open standards. And this helps boost the authenticity story, which benefits you as artists and also the buyers. Because remember, as Zach said, the buyer has this NFT, the certificate goes along with it, and they want to build like a community of interest around the NFT. So as they go and they sell it, the certificate of authenticity increases their saleable value, and that means more royalties to you downstream. So it's important to use these certificates, whether or not you release NFTs, but hopefully you will get into the NFT space, and this can be a stepping stone. Now, what does the certificate look like? It has this image hash. Now, a hash, this is the technology of certificates. What a hash is it's a digital signature or a digest of the original artwork. So let's say you have this 20 meg file, high resolution image of somebody performing at a rock concert. You run it through this certificate application, and it will generate this string of digits that's, a sentence long. And this goes into your cert. And anytime later, anybody who comes forward with a piece of art that claims to represent the same piece, we can just process that and compare the hash. And if the images are not exactly identical, the hash will be very different. Of course, in the certificate, we'll also put a thumbnail, typically higher resolution than this one, sorry about that, and the signature of the artist, and a QR code. And that means that you can save a PDF of this, or you can just keep a QR code. You can share it on a mobile phone with WhatsApp or whatever application. And anybody who has access to this QR code can then get back to your digital certificate and verify it for themselves. So as you get into the space, this is what I noticed with Tess and Milang and other artists, Ken, is that they don't have the wherewithal to deal with all these nuances of crypto. And so they need a partner, a facilitator, who can help them set up their crypto wallet. And the way that this can be done is very easy. What I've discovered is that you can have multiple wallets on your computer if you just open different instances of your browser. So in the browser, let's say Chrome, I can have an identity for Tess and an identity for Milang, and they can each have independent wallet. And these wallets can be exactly the same wallet address as the artist has. So then I can help them set up their presence on Rarible or Mintable or OpenSea or any of these marketplaces, in a way acting as a chaperone to get them in and get them set up. And then at some point, they can just take back control. So what I advise them is set up a shared document in Google Docs or something like that, put their bio there, put a description of the collection and the particular item they're selling, and then I copy paste that information into Rarible, Mintable, OpenSea, and that's the way it works. It just works very easy together. And then once the certificate is linked to the NFT, let's say this is on OpenSea, so we can just click on the certificate. It will open up. This is an actual digital certificate created with our tools. And after this event in the Discord channel, I'll share some coupons or something that allow you guys to get your first free certificates like this for your own works. So here's the artwork. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to export the data. Underneath this certificate is some data. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to export this data. And I'm going to store it here. and then I'm going to verify it. So I'm going to open a third-party verifier. In Singapore, we have one called Open Certs. They're handling the health certificates. They're also handling all the university degrees for 16 higher ed institutions. And all these certs can be verified with drag and drop. And this is where international standards come in. And so now this certificate is being verified, and we can see that it hasn't been tampered with, it hasn't been revoked, and it's just like that. So the next thing I want to say is everything is done with your wallet address. And what you should do is you should get an ENS name so that you don't have to remember this long wallet address. And the ENS name would be something like artisttestfelix.eth. So this is your, I mean, in most of these marketplaces today, they're using Ethereum. And this is a name service that Ethereum offers. And with this, you have like this vanity domain or URL that points to the address of your wallet. So you don't have to remember the address of your wallet anymore. You can just refer to it this way. So finally, what I would like to say is that NFTs are intangible assets. They represent a set of rights in relation to your original copyrighted work. And thus, they're derivative in the sense of an asset. Like if you wanted to bet on the future of crypto, you would buy Ethereum or you would buy Bitcoin or something like that. But when you're buying NFTs, you're not directly participating in the crypto market. Are you directly participating in the art market? Yes, but in this intangible way through this digital rights. And because they're derivatives, they're more volatile than the underlying assets. So whereas if you're selling prints, they're not going to be changing price every day. But if you're selling NFTs, the price in Ethereum might be going up and down. So what you need to do as an artist is to establish digital authenticity before you produce your NFTs. For example, by getting this CNS name and creating certificates of authenticity for your copyrighted works. And that's what I have for you today. I'm really honored to follow this great lineup of speakers. Thank you.
Right. Thank you. Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Bill, for sharing. Well, things move so fast in the crypto world with new opportunities created every second. We have just received this following short message from California just minutes ago. And I'd like to introduce John Karras, the co-founder of Akoin, who is building out a new type of art museum, which also involves NFT. Right. So let's take a look at this video coming up.
Hi, I'm John Karras. I'm the co-founder of Akoin and am very invested in the growth of the NFT space. We believe firmly in the lasting value of digital collectibles, so much so that we're in the process of building out a series of physical galleries for digital art, starting in South Beach, Miami, Florida. We're taking a space in the historic Tides Hotel, which has been around since the 1920s, and building out the first of our series of physical galleries for digital art. Why we're doing this is because we believe that the public needs to see the possibilities of this art form as it evolves. Also, we're using these galleries as a hub for auctions so that there are physical as well as digital auctions of this very collaborative art form. We will be working with your friends and ours at Zilliqa to build out a series of NFTs with the Zilliqa protocol, putting it out there. The possibilities of collaboration of NFTs are virtually limitless. We're working together with athletes, musicians, film and TV stars, social impact leaders, and business leaders, creating all kinds of unique and colorful art that is either static or moving, that contains music or doesn't. We find ways to integrate physical products and access points to the talent behind these NFTs. We're working with artists of all types, from fine artists, painters, digital artists, game designers, production designers, architects, VR and AR companies, anime companies, and more collaboratively with the stars and brands that I mentioned prior. We're very excited about what the possibilities of this art form is and think that the museum would benefit very much by working with us and other companies and creators in the space. I believe in the power of Zilliqa, the flexibility of its protocol, and the community that they've built, and would strongly recommend that you find a way to collaborate with them in the growth of this amazing and very flexible art form in your hometown of Singapore. Please feel free to reach out to us. I am reachable most times of day or night via john@akoin.io. And feel free to please take a look at akoinnft.io and see what new and exciting things we have coming. We have collaborations that include Akon, Kevin Garnett, the NBA superstar, numerous photographers and artists from Richard Wright and Yvette Roberts and David Bergman and more, to painters like Rob Pryor and Greg Hildebrand, and all kinds of companies and, again, athletes, stars, celebrities of all types. We look forward to finding ways to meet with as many of you as possible and collaborate with you in building out new and interesting collaborations. So I wish you all the best as you explore this, and please join our friends at Zilliqa in making Singapore a hub for NFTs. Thanks so much.
Thank you, speakers, for all your valuable sharing and insights. We have now come to the final segment of the program before we open to the floor for Q&A. So today we have put together a diverse panel of regional artists, developers, and technologies to share about their experience with crypto, NFTs, and trends in the Southeast Asian region. Right, today we have the pleasure to have the company of the following: Hafiz Karim, who's a digital art director and artist; Shirley Sonia, art director for blockchain and mobile games; Shengen Lim, a Singaporean artist; and Fabin Rashid, designer and creative technologies from Adobe, India. Right, welcome, guys.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. Hi, great to have you guys here to today. Perhaps maybe just to kick off, would you like to just kind of share a bit about what you do, and also to just kind of tell us about your journey into digital art or the NFT space? Perhaps we can start with Fabin. I always pick the guy next to me on Zoom.
I'm happy that I'm next to you. But yeah, really great to be here. Thank you for inviting me over, and really great to meet all of you amazing folks. So to just talk about my journey into digital art, I rather started as an engineer who went into learning a bit of coding and mixing up with physical artworks and digital artworks. Combining all these mediums together, I started delving into mixing creativity with technology. And recently, I work with technology like artificial intelligence, augmented reality, etc. And I think I ventured into the NFT space in 2020, creating these kind of artworks. And I met all these amazing folks there, and I'm glad this journey has been amazing. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Fabin. Next up, Hafiz.
Hi.
Hi.
Yes, so I started digital art a year ago during my experience in advertising. So I was doing a lot of commercial stuff, but then I realized that I wanted to be an artist, especially when I was doing my master's in Asian art history. It just went from there. And then for NFTs, it was mostly 2 months ago, actually, quite new, quite baby in the NFT world. But it's been a blast, really. And my work is mostly about reimagining art historical figures reimagining them into modern scenarios that we all relate to.
Thanks. Nice. Thanks, Hafiz. Next up, Shirley.
Hi, I'm Shirley Saneha. I'm from the Philippines. As mentioned before, I am an art director for mobile and blockchain games. So initially, the company that I work for just started with mobile games, and then we got into blockchain gaming in 2018. Back then, that was the time when I first discovered NFTs. It was when I first discovered digital, crypto kitties. And that concept of digital scarcity is what really excited me. And I also discovered crypto art. I did not jump into the crypto art scene until last year in September 2020. This was during the lockdown. I didn't get to jump in right away because at that time I was busy with my day job. I had a lot of side projects. But I think like last year with the lockdown, I didn't really have anything to do. I was stuck at home and I thought this is the perfect time for me to jump in. So now I'm on several art platforms and I've collabed with a lot of artists and a lot of like influencers in this space like Maxi. I'm also involved in the metaverse. I actually designed a virtual art gallery for Decentraland. And I also help set up artworks for different NFT events and exhibits. So yeah, that's it about me.
Thank you so much, Shirley. Pandemic boredom really bring out all these new opportunities, yeah?
Yes.
All right, next we have Shengen. Can you share a bit about yourself?
Hi, my name is Shengen. So I'm a Singaporean artist. I'm a CEO of my own little startup called Tech. For the last 10 over years, I was in South Korea as a scientist and engineer, mainly computer engineering. So I think it's the opposite with Fabin. So I was from the arts that went into engineering actually. Right now, we just do a lot of augmented reality stuff, 3D modeling, volumetric captures, and stuff like that.
Yeah. Thank you, Shengen. This is really interesting for people like us who are in the space of bring art and tech together. We have got real testimonials here. All right, engineers turned artists. Fantastic. Yeah. So I guess everybody is quite new to this. I know Hafiz, you said that you started this about 2 months ago?
Yes, March.
So maybe you'd like to just kind of share with us a bit, what are some of the challenges that you face, trying to get into developing digital art and and as well try to promote your digital art, especially on NFT.
I mean, hi, I'm also known as the next most famous artist on Instagram. That's my digital persona. So creating digital art has always been happening anyway. But when it comes to NFTs, when you talk to me about blockchain technology, my mind goes over there. So I just blank out. So with the help of the art community that I joined, the most famous artist community, that was the first time I heard about NFTs and blockchain technology. So I had a lot of help from them and what to do and what wallets to use. But coming from Singapore, some crypto wallets are not available or it's a bit difficult. So for the first 2 weeks in March, I was struggling to create and set up everything because I had to do it by myself. I didn't know who to ask. But eventually, I put most of my stuff, minted most of my stuff on OpenSea.
Right. How about Shirley? Were there some challenges that you could share with us?
With regards to entering the space initially?
Yeah, because you were traditionally from agency, right?
Oh, yes. But since we did blockchain games, the concept of blockchain and NFTs is not entirely foreign to me at that time. So it was something that I was familiar with. And then I also had the benefit of like having my boss guide me and because he was the one who was like really spearheading the blockchain division in our company. So it was not so much of a struggle for me personally entering the scene. I think I was fortunate in that regard, but I feel like for a lot of artists, if they did not have that kind of introduction, being lucky as I have been, it is going to be tricky because I feel that the barrier to entry is pretty high, especially if you're not tech-minded at all or don't have like someone to guide you.
Would that challenge be more prominent in the creation part of things or more in terms of sharing and promoting what you create?
I think like when it comes to like sharing and promoting, it's, again, for me personally, I never really had a problem with promoting and sharing. Well, I guess to get deeper into it, like as a digital artist, I would be promoting my work on places like Facebook and Instagram. I would be struggling with the algorithm and it was just very difficult to get eyes on my work. But in particular for crypto, it is really funny to me that when I think about when I joined the space, Twitter was the place to be. Like this, like I would have never thought that Twitter would have become this art-centric platform, or I would find my biggest collectors there or earn money from my art there. So that was pretty interesting.
Interesting. Shengen, how about yourself?
I haven't gone to NFT.
No?
It's been on the mind. I've been very, very busy. So, yeah, like I'm kind of like booked out all the way until next year with a lot of projects. So, yeah, I think because I'm also an educator, so I do teach in like local art schools in Singapore. So a lot of students, when the whole burpee thing blew up, students has been asking me about it, and I say, yeah, everyone. I think it's a very democratic system where everyone should get on it and have a chance to sell their work or have a chance to have a source of income for themselves.
It's a FOMO bandwagon now, right?
Yeah.
How about Fabian yourself? Is there any typical challenge that
I think one of the biggest challenges, besides setting up and getting the wallets ready and everything, is what Shelly said, is about the visibility part of it. And I think that is what probably some of the new artists are also facing because of the influx of so many people coming into the space, and it's all diverse, and it's all dispersed out there. So that is the same thing which I also faced in the beginning, but luckily I got some interest from some collectors and I could pick up from there. Perhaps the second challenge I would say is that in the space early on itself, there was an attraction towards having a good imagery, and people would be focused on the imagery more than delving into the art and reading about it and understanding it more. And that drove things in a different way for me, and I myself had the chance of creating some of these images, and I also tried to explore something beyond that. But yeah, striking a right balance between this, that was something which I found as attraction in the beginning. Yeah.
Right.
Sorry, as a problem in the beginning.
Right. Thanks, Fabian. Of course, crypto being digital allows us to go cross-border, right? So basically, but at the same time, you also face a whole sea of competition, right? So the thing is, while we are going international and global in that sense at super quick speed, how do you think there's a difference with the attitude in terms of this part of the world towards the trend in NFT and crypto? So do you can't really see it as a promising channel to actually help artists to earn more revenue, or maybe to get recognition, to reach out, to actually kind of share their art with a larger audience? Do you guys really see this as a opportunity?
Oh yeah, definitely. It's just that the Asian market is slightly slow in terms of picking it up. That's why we have all these talks to to get people updated and get people knowledgeable about the topic so that they are more comfortable and more confident to buy an NFT. But before that, I really had to get help from my friends in Europe or America to help me out and educating me on what NFT is, because there weren't a lot of tutorials on YouTube or wherever for me to start out with. So that was fun.
So do it work for you to have a big Instagram following as well?
It helps because creating NFTs is all about building a community as well in terms of selling and promoting your work. You can't just, like any artist or any art world, you cannot just post an NFT and just leave it there hoping to sell. I think Zach has mentioned it quite clearly that you can't just expect it to sell overnight. You need to promote yourself. Since there's no middleman to help promote it, you have to be your own promoter. So it does help to have a following on Instagram, but most of my followers don't really have a Ethereum wallet to start with. So my target audience has to switch somewhere onto Twitter to get, because I feel that I don't, maybe Shelley, you agree that most of the collectors are actually on Twitter or on Clubhouse?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
so
true.
So I have to divert my strategy from Instagram to Twitter a bit more, set up my Twitter account, be a bit more vocal on Clubhouse and all that.
Yeah, so you really have to put yourself out front there and sell, right?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Can I add to that as well?
Sure, Shelley.
So we were talking about like how Asia, like this, do we have this opportunity, right? So in terms of opportunity, like when you think about like the earning potential, like when we talk about dollar amounts, right? Like maybe for like the developing world, like the specific amount of money that they're getting, it's not much for them. But like from me, coming from a developing country like the Philippines, like even just that little amount can go a very long way for like artists like me. Like I think what normally gets the headlines in mainstream news outlets is like, oh, these multi-million dollar sales and all those things. But I think what hardly ever gets talked about is like how many people in the developing countries have actually been uplifted from poverty just by selling art that they actually just make from themselves. It's not like, you know, it's not a branded art piece. It's not sponsored by a big company. It's art that you make from the heart, and you are able to sell it. And then like on top of that, this amount of money that you get, you can help your loved ones, you can help your friends. Like I've known many stories, like people from the Philippines, from Indonesia, who are able to like buy a house or pay for medical bills or pay off their debt. Like it's even the same story for me. So like, I think I just wanted to mention that, since it's not typically talked about in terms of opportunity for Asian artists in this space, especially developing countries.
Nice. Thank you. Well, we spoke quite a bit about the economic opportunities, right? So let's talk a bit as artists. Well, art often makes provocative and political statements, well, really because it's a reflection of the society, right? So as an artist, what do you think about the burning of the Banksy art to make NFT counterpart more valuable than the painting itself? Right. So do you think this should be ethic-based guidelines or limitation on what NFT or digital representation to make it legitimate? What's your view on that as an artist, to burn your own artwork so that the NFT could become more valuable? Maybe we hear it from Shengen.
Yeah, I think it's something about exclusivity. You know how exclusive the work is. Maybe when Banksy burns the work, the NFT eventually becomes way much more valuable because that's the only current piece left. He can recreate it, but it's not the one that he burnt. However, that also comes to the question, like, if the actual work is burnt, how valuable the final NFT is. I remember like Banksy had this work where he shredded his work during an auction house. It was going for a certain price, but I think with Banksy shredding his work, the value of the work went up even more. That's what I think. But how can that transfer, that value of that artwork, the shredded artwork, be transferred into NFT? Now that's very questionable. Yeah.
But from an ethics point of view, do you think it's right just to go around burning artwork in the museums so that we could, make the digital version more valuable?
Not in the riot form, but I think eventually this becomes another platform where artists throughout in the whole past of history has always made use of platforms to make something controversial, to make new stuff out of it. In fact, right now on WhatsApp, I'm kind of talking to a friend right now talking about making a kind of controversial NFT work. And yeah, it will spark new ideas. So long there's a new platform, there will always be new ideas to come in to challenge it, to see what it can be pushed to. Yeah,
I think that's why it's important.
Planning an NFT hearse or something.
Yeah.
I hope we're not planning an NFT hearse.
Wait, we do first, then we find out.
Hafiz wanted to say something. Hafiz,
I just want to add something a bit that I think it is still important that this kind of stunts do happen in a new platform. Like Shengen said, that since it's such a new platform, this kind of stunt art is trying to test the limits of what NFTs can be. And by doing these stunts, you're able to understand, oh, now there's more value to the actual NFT. If you just do it normally, it's hard for us to understand, but because of these stunts and because of how it has become quite legendary, right? It's quite known. Then we understand the platform and the medium of NFTs. So it's quite important that these stunts do happen just to catch our attention.
Yeah, I think like in the history of art, every movement goes against a previous movement. So already now NFT is a very democratic, everyone can have access to it. Now is to see who are the artists going to come out to do opposing things with the NFT platform.
Yeah, I think Hafiz has mentioned earlier today, right? Today we are in the NFT art world, there's really no gatekeeper. There's no one there to help you to sell the artwork as well, right? No auctioneers, no appraisers, no critics, right? So really then the question is, where do you draw the line? Where is the parameter, right? Yeah.
To keep pushing it. but no more burning, because if you burn once, you're going to burn another one. It's not going to be the same value as the first burn. So you have to keep experimenting, I guess.
Yeah. I think that the challenge is today we are already kind of like say earlier, right? Things are changing by the seconds, and they are creating new opportunities all the time by the minute. So I think really it's really going out to try and experiment. So the next question, you guys have kind of been there, done that. So what is that one advice you give to either artists, musicians, performers, or even literary artists, right, who kind of like trying to get into this space now? What would be that one advice that you give them to consider before digitizing their work and put them onto the blockchain? Maybe we start with Fabin.
Okay, I think the main advice I would give anyone who's entering in the space would be to be experimental, to have a very open mindset, because we along the way, it's every day you see new things evolving, changing, new happenings happening, and new big sales and everything. There is always this new field where we can find out new things to do, and it doesn't have to be just the same thing that we have been doing so far. It could be something new with the blockchain technology or the technology we have, or it could be something beyond that we should think of. And coming from an innovator's perspective, I try to see if there is something we can push and we can find out. So I would always say keep an experimental mindset and be more open to not only your own works or your own thoughts, but to others' thoughts also, because that's really important in this space. You might see conflicting thoughts all the time, the conflicting happenings all the time, but that's always something you have to understand. This is growing yourself. And in the process, yes, keep creating and don't stop creating.
All right, thank you, Fabin. Hafiz, you look like you're ready to share. Yeah, what would be that one advice?
I was just remembering that slide that Joyce showed of all the different mediums that you can do with NFTs, and then just got me thinking that if you're an artist, right, you shouldn't just be fixated on one particular medium, especially with the potential of NFTs, right? If you're a writer, maybe you can do an NFT, but then you collaborate with an artist to create like a fusion or something. So I guess like my advice is to actually explore a bit more on the mediums that you're not comfortable with, because it can actually help you push your own creative boundaries. Because I started out doing static digital collages, and then I moved on to a bit of animation, because right now NFTs does support, audio, AR or whatnot. So it does help to combine.
I second that.
Yes. So it's like there's a lot of different opportunities and different untapped potential for NFTs. So just combine whatever medium and collaborate. It's all about collaboration, I feel, with the blockchain NFTs, because everything's transparent and you can easily collaborate with artists from around the world, from different industries. So it just helps.
Yeah. So I think collaboration is a key word here as well, right? To go into a partnership, to create new forms, for example. Yeah. And how about Shirley? What is that one piece of advice?
I love the advice that Fabin and Hafiz mentioned about experimentation. So I'm trying to think of something that's different from that. I guess what I would say is, like, if you're entering into the space, you have to also take care of your mental health. Like, especially if you're not in crypto at all, because, oh my God, it is this crazy roller coaster ride. Like maybe just 1 week or like a few days in crypto could be 1 month. And then like there's all this new technology, all these new protocols that come up. And then you always feel this FOMO, like you feel like you're going to miss out. Like, oh, I have to study this. Like for me, I feel like every week there's something new that comes up, this new protocol. And I feel like, okay, I need to spend time studying this. So it's like, it's not just like you're just making art and you're putting it up there for sale. There's all this technology and protocols that you have to study. And then you think about, how can I apply my art into this, this new technology and blow people's minds with it. So I think you also have to take care of your mental health, and because burnout is really real. I mean, I think admittedly, I've burnt out several times already since I've been here since September, and I just keep working and working and studying. But it's like, you got to take care of yourself too. Like rest is important if you want to create.
Yeah. So just
and it's also fun with all the COVID situation happening. So yeah, take care.
Yeah. So which I think is important on both points, right? Like Hafiz said earlier, I think really we need to look into partnership, because we still need to maintain that head space, right? To really focus on the art form. right? And while we try to struggle with the new technology out there as well. But of course, like I say, we have a big tech community here, probably can help us with that, right?
Yes,
and
community is very important. Like finding a support group. I agree with that.
How about Shenggen? Yes.
Yeah.
What is the one piece of advice?
One piece. You know, there is a Singaporean artist. His name is Tang Dao. I think a lot of people know.
Yes. And
I think like one of the newspaper articles, he was trying to suggest to young artists that, you know, it's nowadays art is more about bringing something that is not art and questioning it, can it be art or not? And I kind of like that idea, and generally in the general direction for me as a new media artist, that's what I'm also attempting to do. I think on this NFT platform as well, you know, if younger artists can come in and start questioning the ways of how we can see culture, how we can reflect society through this platform, it will be a huge push, not just economically wise, but also in their own art practice and our own art culture in total. Yeah.
Nice one. Thanks, Shenggen. Okay. Any final thoughts from the panel they would like to share?
I have.
Yes, please, Hafiz.
Okay, this is also another advice. If you want to create NFTs, right? Like you have to create because you want to create, you know, not because of it's like a quick way to get money. If you start off with that, right, you can't really go far, or it doesn't work for you, because at the end of the day, you're still a creator. You still need to reflect the times and all that. So I guess, like Shelley said, do your research, but at the end of the day, create because you are a creator, create because you experiment, not because, oh my God, I can get, it's like don't be too financially driven with the NFT thing, you know, use it as like a catalyst, but don't make it like a primary goal or vision or whatever.
Yeah, if not, you'll just end up with a lot of sleepless nights. My life felt like the spiraling astronaut for the last few days already, right? So, okay, great. Thank you so much. Thank you so much to the panel. Now we're going to move on to the Q&A segment. We have collected some questions. Actually, I just realized that the announcement earlier about the free demo NFT has created some discord on the Discord channel. Right, so just to reduce some anxiety, what happens after this session? We'll post a Google form on the channel, and that's where you'll get the instruction, right, on how to redeem your free NFT, your demo NFT, right? Okay, we'll move on to Q&A. We have picked up some questions from the Discord channel and likewise from YouTube live stream. Okay, I've got one question here. This is probably for Colin. Right, it's from Farron. It says, hello, Zilliqa. I would like to ask, when will Zilliqa NFT open the opportunity for creators to sell their works? Is it in June?
Well, there's a couple of things. Obviously, Mintable is already live for artists to sell on Zill. So that's here and now today. But for the Emerging Artists Fund, the Creator Fund, we're going to build that through June. We're going to crowdsource, obviously, through token sharing, investors into that fund, and then we will commission works and get works from the market. So that will happen from June onwards. It will probably take about 3 months to complete.
Right. Thank you, Colin. Okay, next question I have from Doggy Shaman. Basically, NFTs democratize the collection and appreciation of art. And why Zill? Because Ether-based NFTs cost an arm and a leg and defeats this purpose. Artists can mint NFTs for mere dollars. Okay, I think this doesn't really sound like a question to me, but maybe Zach would like to share a bit about this.
Yeah. So when it comes to why Zill, as I talked about earlier, Zilliqa is fast, cheap, and it's the blockchain. So in terms of what that person just said is that, yeah, it costs an arm and a leg to make an NFT on other blockchains. And so with Zilliqa, you have the ability to put your works up there, and it's still secured by the blockchain, but it's just much more affordable. And so we have a vibrant community of creators and buyers on the Zilliqa platform. And so it's a good alternative. Of course, we support the Ethereum blockchain as well, and so you can choose. But for people that maybe are from a developing world, or maybe are just not sure about NFTs and they don't want to spend a lot of money, that's what the Zilliqa blockchain is for. Is it's made for fast, secure, affordable transactions, and so that's why.
Right. Thanks, Zach. Thanks, Zach, for sharing. Okay, we have this question. Probably Colin will be good position to kind of answer this as well. The question came from Fission. It says, can small artists create their own NFT, and how? Can we purchase these NFTs with the ZIL we hold?
Sure. Again, Mintable's there for you. So it's quite straightforward. I don't think it takes much more than 10 minutes to mint on Mintable. Take your original digital file, art, upload it, add some metadata, think of the pricing structure, and then you're ready to roll. Setting your price, and then you can get paid in ZIL.
All right, thanks, Colin. All right, next question comes from Osman, and I think this question probably Bill is in the best position to answer this. Who takes the responsibility to authenticate a physical piece of art, and how is the digital signature attached to a physical piece of art?
So the digital work would have a certificate which is self-attested, right? It's from the artists themselves, just like a copyright is a self-attested declaration of rights. When we talk about a physical work, the artist also claims copyright to the physical work. So they can take the same certificate and just tape it to the back of the work. And of course, the certificate has a QR code on it. So anybody can then scan the QR code and link to the digital certificate. So whether the artist is selling physical, selling NFTs digitally, or some combination of the two, the same certificates can be used in both cases.
All right. Thank you. Thanks, Bill. Okay, this one is quite interesting. It's from FoundX Ken. How can screenwriters also basically turn their writings into NFT? I'm not sure. Maybe this could be taken up by Zach or Belinda. Belinda would like to share?
Yeah, sure. Well, the thing is, as with even a tweet can be minted on NFT as an NFT, right? So basically, any form of copyrighted material where the owners would like to create an exclusive proof of ownership to it, they can actually mint it on NFT, quite simply. Maybe Zach would like to share whether or not literary works have been minted on Mintable already.
Yeah, so we have had literary works minted on Mintable, and you could do screens, for whether it's your story player or whatnot. With Mintable, we allow any file to be uploaded, and the limit size that we have is like 2 gigabytes for your private file. And so that's why we've had indie films and horror films added on as NFTs, is because other platforms limit you to like 10 megabytes, 40 megabytes, and it really limits what you're able to tokenize. So for doing like a screenplay, you would put, obviously you would need an image to be displayed, and this could be whatever image you want, whether it's the cover of your screenplay or just some text saying what it is. The private file is what would be, the actual content. You would upload that, and then you could even include, if you want to transfer the copyright to be used commercially or whatever, you would define the amount of copyright transfer that you want to give over, whether it's full rights or limited rights, whatever. And so when someone buys that, the person who buys the NFT is the only one who has access to the private file. And so once they verify using the blockchain that they own that NFT, they could then access the screenplay and be able to, use it in whatever manner they wanted to, or whatever manner you defined within the copyright.
Right. Thanks, Zach and Belinda. Okay, we got one last question here. Much has been said about the blockchain and crypto ecosystem as being a boys' club. Have NFT helped to broaden the diversity of representation seen across the industry? Perhaps Shirley or Belinda would like to take this? Or maybe Joyce?
There's actually this group called Women of Crypto Art. It hosts like I think hundreds or thousands, I'm not sure, of crypto artists that identify as female, and they're very active and very supportive in women's projects, and they've been involved in a lot of high-profile NFT art projects as well. So there is like, it's an active thing that has to be done. Like we can't just say that technology is just, inherently, meant to be democratizing by itself. It's something that people have to work on together. So it's good to see that there's WACA, the Women of Crypto Art Group, that's really pushing for women's representation in this space.
Nice.
Yeah, I think I'll jump in, and I agree with Shirley here. I mean, in the end, it is technology, and technology is a material medium like anything else. It's a tool, and it depends how you use the tool. So maybe it can be a bit boys clubby, but it is open to women. There are some barriers, but women also have, I guess, to be able to reach out to one another to be able to use these tools, because I guess as a community, I think the help is there to overcome the barriers. And I think those actually it's the social dynamics at work. So technology is a tool, and like any other tool, it doesn't solve itself. You need people to come into the picture. I just very quickly thought I might answer the earlier screenwriter question as well, if it's any help. From where I stand as a curator, I think the point for me is that it looks like anything can be made into an NFT. The technology is possible. I think for all creators, what's useful to think is, why would anybody want to collect, buy, or purchase the item of the NFT that you're putting out there? What is its interest value? Why is it collectible? So it's not the technical side. You can make anything an NFT, but if you're a screenwriter, then you're thinking, why would anybody want to buy this aspect? Does it reveal some aspect of the movie or the play that wasn't known before? What is unique about it? Is it someone who's really a fan of that play or something, and they want something about it? So I think it's helpful for creators to think about why would anybody be interested in your work, regardless of whether it's an NFT, it's a digital thing. Why do people want to collect it? And I think if you can maybe help answer that question, the NFT will be, again, the technology that will just broaden the platform for you, but it won't answer the question for you. So just want to jump in on that.
Yeah, thank you. I think that comes down to still maintaining the integrity and quality of the work that we produce, right? I mean, today we have got, simple to get on board platform like Zilliqa, right? So really tech is democratized and simple actually, right? So it's really allowing us artists to really focus on the quality of the work that we produce. Yeah. All right, we have came to the last question today for the Q&A segment. Well, I guess, thank you very much, everyone. Thank you for investing time with us for the last 2 hours. Before you go, we would like to invite you to provide your feedback. I think on the screen now, you should see a feedback form, a QR code that you can access to a feedback form. Again, we would like to throw in some goodies. So 10 lucky winners will stand a chance to win a limited edition gift pack from the National Gallery Singapore. Right, so do share with us your feedback, and that will help us to better organize and create our content for future events. Right, so once again, thank you very much. Thank you all the panelists and speakers, and thank you all of you for investing your time with us today. Thank you so much. Yeah, stay in touch. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
you.